It's time to start making controls. And when I start making controls, I'm actually going to start with the blend shapes and work backwards to the initial joints that we made. And the reason for that is that there are so many different styles that we can use for making controls. I don't know if any of you have worked with a lot of facial rigs, but you will see the facial rigging controls in all different configurations. And I thought that if I started with the controls that I think are most intuitive for the shape editor, that would go a long way to giving you some idea of what you can do. So I will start by just turning off the edit button so that we're not editing anymore, which is good. And then I'm going to turn off everything that I've got, including these curves, which I'm just going to take and for the moment stick on a layer all by themselves, just so they turn invisible. So what I'm going to do for the shape editor controls is a little bit different from what we've done before. I'm going to start with a NURB circle, which we have done before, but I am going to make this circle a linear four-sided circle, which is, as I'm sure you've noticed, a diamond shape. A beautiful, beautiful diamond shape. I will rotate that 45 degrees around Y, and then I'm going to freeze transformations on it so that it now thinks that it's a square. So I'm just going to rename this. I'm going to call this square. Ta-da! All done. And let's delete my history. Okay. I'm going to make a bunch of copies of square. Just so I have them, just because I want to have a square. I'm also going to stand them up in the front viewport. Looks like that's going to be a 90-degree X rotation. Let's freeze transformations on that too. And now what I'm basically going to do, I shouldn't have done that. Hold on, let's just snap this back here. Freeze transformations again, just so that I'm sensible with my origin axes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a slider bar. I'm going to make my slider bar go up and down. So basically I'm going to need two copies of square. Let's call this one vertical box, and let's call this one slider. So I'm going to take a vertical box and I'm going to take its control vertices. Let's turn off soft select, let's turn off symmetry, and we're just going to pull these up like so. Maybe I will snap them to the grid. Everybody likes things that are snapped to the grid. And let's take these and let's snap them to the grid too. So I've got this nice little box right here. And then here's my slider. So this one, again, I'm just going to take my control vertices. I'll make this a little shorter by snapping these to the grid. And then I'm just going to take all four of them, scale them in a little bit just so they're smaller. And let's center this pivot. Okay, great. So now this can slide up and down like that. And of course with this, all I wanted to do is translate Y, so I'm going to grab all these other channels, and I am going to lock and hide. And now this is basically locked going like this. Next, I would like this slider to only go from this starting point up to about here. So to do that, I'm going to open up my attribute editor, which you can always get with Control or Command A. Mine happens to be in a tab right here. So in this, you will remember you've got these two tabs. This one's the object node, this one's the shape node. Here in the object node, one of the options is limit information. I'm going to open that up, It defaults to rotate, but I'm going to use translate. And the only one I care about is Y because I've locked the other channels. So here's Y. And now I've limited it to going between -1 and +1, so there to there. It's not really what I want. I want the minimum to be 0. And then I'm going to turn off the maximum for a minute because I want this to move up to about here. Looks like that's 3.27. Let's hit this little button to put that into the max column. Then check the box. And now I've made a slider, this slider right here, that can slide up and down along the box. Great. I'm super happy with that. I hope all of you are too, because this is kind of fun. It's good stuff. I love limiting things. Yeah. So, with that done, I am going to take the slider, I'm going to make it a child of the vertical box, and then I'm just going to Control-D to duplicate and move this over. So I've got a new slider here, and it does the same thing. And I can have as many of these as I want. In my case, I've only got these 2 shapes, but you would make one of these for each of your phonemes, just by Control-D to duplicate. And you just keep going until you're all done. Now, I've only got 2. That's fine. That's okay. And mine are wa and so I'm not sure that it is worth it to me to mess with the type tool, but I mean, we have a type tool, so we might as well. So in the type tool, I'm going to say law, and I don't actually want any geometry, I just want curves, so I'm going to say create curves from type, and then I can take this mesh and delete the mesh, and now I've got this thing that says law. So let's name this law. And then I am going to center pivot, move this over here, scale it way, way down, way, way, way down. And this one's going to be my law slider. So tiny, just barely big enough to read. And let's make another one. And this one's going to be my slider. And again, we'll create some curves, delete out the mesh. This is going to be and we will center pivot and scale this right on down, move it over here, maybe just grab some of the properties out of the other one. Looks like that is my scale value, so I'll copy that and just paste it right in here and put that right there. Then that looks like my Y value. Let's copy that and paste that right in there. I'm going to keep Z at 0. I don't want this moving back and forth. And the X is going to be our variable. Yeah, good. So I'm going to take all these things. I'm going to make one more box out of my square. And again, we'll just rotate this here 90 degrees. And I'm going to move it a little bit like this, and then just start pulling around my control vertices to make a kind of a bounding box. That looks good. Let's, again, center pivot, and let's call this one shape bounding box. I'm going to make all these other things children of shape bounding box. And now let's go in and make better names. This vertical box is going to be my box. Sounds familiar. Don't know why. That'll be my slider. You know what? Let's just put the as a child in there too. And then this one's going to be the wah box and the wah slider. So I know that already this is like super duper exciting, right? We've made this thing, it looks kind of cool. I've got these sliders that have this limitation set on them so they only go up and down. I've got this text. This looks very professional, right? So having made this little tiny interface, I'm going to pause here. I am going to freeze transformation on everybody. Why can't I freeze transformations, everybody? No, we don't like it? Okay, we'll figure that out later. I'm gonna get all my transformations frozen, zeroed out, and then in the next video we'll talk about how to actually activate these sliders and make them do things. So let me just clean this stuff up. I think I can't freeze transformations because I have locked and hidden these children, so let me unlock them. Grab everybody except for visibility that I don't care about. Unlock. Grab this. Freezy freezy. All good. Everybody's happy. And then these two, we'll do it later. So get yourself a cute little interface like this one and then come join me.